Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Kaya Shows the Way, Chapter 4, A New Path. By the time Kaya and Tatlo were taken across the river the next morning, everyone was ready at work. Kaya found her mother kneeling on a smooth rock, cutting the head off a large salmon and taking off the entrails, which she put into a basket, taken to the trash heap. Kaya knelt beside her and used her hands to speak over the roar of the falls. Speaking Rain is alive! She's over there! Kaya pointed at the opposite shore. Ista sat on her heels and her eyes filled with tears. It was a long moment before she could answer. We'll cross the river tonight and bring her back, she sighed. Go tell your grandmother. She pointed toward the workplace on the hillside. Kaya found a cayusta on an upland rise, spreading salmon eggs to dry on tool mats. Here the smell of fish was especially strong. Attracted by it, bald eagles and condors circled overhead, riding the winds. The roar of the falls wasn't so loud on the side of the rise. Kaya didn't have to tell her grandmother about didn't have to shout to tell her grandmother about Speaking Rain. Cayusta clasped Kaya's hand when she heard that Speaking Rain was alive. I've hoped and prayed for this, she said. Tell me what happened to her after you two were separated. Careful not to leave out anything, Kaya told that what happened to her sister and about her life now with White Braids. When Kaya was thorough, Cayusta handed her a basket of salmon eggs. Hold this while I spread these eggs. When they're dry, you can have some for yourself to trade. Maybe you can have some beads or a shell to hold them while you're working. Kaya knelt in silence by her grandmother for a little while. Then she said, Speaking Rain's different now, Cayusta. Do you mean she's grown? Cayusta asked. She's a little taller, that's true, and her face is rounder, Kaya said, but she's grown on the inside. She seems older. I always looked out for her. Now she doesn't seem to need my help anymore. If she can't see, she'll always need some help, Cayusta said. That hasn't changed, has it? She's still blind in her eyes, Kaya said, but her heart sees things clearly. Everything you're telling me is good news, but you look troubled, Cayusta said. Didn't you sleep well, granddaughter? Kaya bit her lip. I stared at the fire all night, she admitted. That's not what troubles me. Speaking Rain told me an important vow she made, one she won't break no matter what. A vow she refuses to break? Cayusta asked. Her spirit is strong then. All that she's been through has made her this way. What is her vow? She vowed to never leave the woman who saved her life, Kaya blurted out. Because of that, she can't live with us anymore. Cayusta looked at Kaya long and hard. Your sister is very strong. But listen to me, granddaughter. You have strength too. You mean the strength I needed to escape from enemies? Kaya asked. Not exactly, Cayusta said. I mean, you have the strength to make hard choices. Are you telling me I should let Speaking Rain go? Kaya asked. I'm not telling you that at all, Cayusta said. You want your sister to live. Don't you want her to have the life she chooses? But I want her to live with me, Kaya said. With us. I miss her so. You'll miss her too, Cayusta. I would miss her very much, Cayusta admitted. Her face was grave and she looked sad. Remember how you wanted Lone Dog to stay with you? But it wasn't her nature to do that. Perhaps now Speaking Rain must follow her own path, just as you must follow yours. The heat shimmering from the stones and the smell of the fish made Kaya dizzy. She swayed and Cayusta clapped on her shoulder, then handed her the water basket so that she could drink. I know you love your sister, Cayusta said gently. You love your parents and all your grandparents, and Brown Deer, and the twins and others. You love so many people. So does Speaking Rain. If she loves and respects two mothers now, she has her own hard choice to make. Do you understand me? Kaya wiped her lips on her wrist. She murmured. Her grandmother patted Kaya's shoulder. You need rest, she said. Brown Deer is working near the teepees. Stay with her for a while. You'll want to hear about Speaking Rain too. Kaya found Brown Deer kneeling on the side of a teepee, pounding dry salmon into fine pieces in a stone mortar. Kaya sat down next to her sister and hurriedly told her about Speaking Rain. I have split feelings, Brown Deer admitted, after Kaya told her everything. One feeling is happiness that our sister is alive and well. The other is sadness that she won't live with us. I understand, Kaya said right away. It's just that the way I feel about your hope to marry cut cheek, she went on, surprised to hear herself confessing those feelings too. But you like him, don't you? Brown Deer asked, startled. I do like him, Kaya said, and I know you love each other. I want you to marry. But at the same time, I don't want to lose you, so I'm happy and sad at the same time. Brown Deer set down the stone pencil and put her hand on Kaya's arm. We'll always be sisters, no matter what happens. You'll never lose me, I promise. Now we should think about how we can help little sister with her choice. Kaya scrubbed her eyes with the back of her hand. Brown Deer's kind words helped ease the ache in her chest. I just wish there was some way for Speaking Rain to choose both Easta and White Braids, she said. Brown Deer scooped the ground-up salmon from the mortar and put it in the basket with the dried fish skins. We're friends with the Salish, she said. We trade with them, and we want them to hunt buffalo. White Braids could live with us for a time. Is that what you mean? White Braids doesn't speak our language. I don't think she'd want to leave her own people, Kaya admitted. Then she sat up straighter. She wasn't tired anymore, and she had an idea. But Speaking Rain knows both languages now. Maybe she could go back and forth between White Braids and us. What do you mean? Brown Deer asked. She stopped working and looked closely at Kaya. I wonder, what if Speaking Rain chose to live part of the year with White Braids and part of the year with us? Kaya said. That way she could keep her vow to White Braids, but she wouldn't have to give up our family completely. Brown Deer's eyes lit up. That's a new path to think about. A girl shared by two families and two tribes. We'll have to ask Cayusta for counsel, but I must finish this. Crane Song will be coming to check with me, and I have so much work to do. Look, the sun is almost high overhead. That evening, Kaya and her parents tied up the canoe on the far shore and started walking upstream toward the Salish village. Easta carried a large woven bag filled with dried goose roots to give to White Braids in thanks for saving her daughter. I've told you how Speaking Rain came to be our child, haven't I? She said to Kaya. Kaya hurried to keep up with Easta and Tota. We were both still babies, weren't we? She said. She heard the story many times. You learned to walk, Easta said, and Speaking Rain had just learned her first steps when her mother grew sick and died. Her mother was my dear, dear cousin. We grew up together, and we gave birth to daughters. We became closer still. When Speaking Rain lost her mother, and her father was gored to death on a buffalo hunt, Tota and I took her to raise. But at first Speaking Rain didn't like you, Kaya added. When you went to pick her up, she tried to squirm out of your arms. She couldn't see me, but she knew from my touch that I wasn't her mother, so she fought me, Easta said. When she hit me with her little fits, I thought, Tot, she's a strong one. She'll be an independent girl. And you loved her anyway, Kaya said. I loved her more than that strong will of hers, Easta corrected her. Now, Cayusta told us that Speaking Rain's made a vow she won't break, Tota said. That's her strength showing itself. But she can't leave us, Kaya insisted. Maybe she can live with White Braids and with us too. Do you think she'll do that? We've talked this over with Cayusta, Easta said with a frown. But live with two families? That troubles me. We'll hear what Speaking Rain has to say, Tota said firmly. As they approached the Salish teepee, Kaya saw Speaking Rain standing near the path. Her head was tilted as if she could hear their footsteps approaching, and she was smiling. Kaya's heart lifted all over again to see her sister looking so healthy and well. We're here, Kaya called out. Easta hurried to her daughter and hugged her tightly. I feared for you, she exclaimed, and how I missed you. And now you're back again. Not saying a word, Tota picked up Speaking Rain. She picked up her arms around his neck, and while he held her tightly against his chest for a long time, then he set her down gently. White Braids, Two Hawks, and Two Hawks' father waited a few paces away. With his hands, he thanked White Braids for saving his child's life, and he thanked Two Hawks and his father for bringing them together again. White Braids has prepared a meal for you, Two Hawks said. Come to our teepee with us. White Braids opened the teepee flats to let in the cooling wind. As they sat there, shadows strengthened the evening and the star began to rise. With Two Hawks interpreting, the talk was slow and respectful. There was so much to say. Kaya watched Speaking Rain's face as she turned first slow one speaker, then another, as if she were reaching out to them all. Finally, Tota said gently, Little daughter, you haven't said much. What are your thoughts? Speaking Rain swallowed hard, and she sat up straight at her. Tota, before you came to me tonight, I told White Braids I made a vow to help her as she helped me. We need each other now, I said. She argued with me. She wants me to go back with you. But I can't break my vow. I owe her my life. You understand, don't you? She turned to face White Braids and repeated what she said in Salish. Right away, White Braids spoke with her hands. I love this girl very much, but I never wanted to take her from you. I only wanted her to live, to be well, to join her family again. I believe you, Easta signed to her, but I also respect my daughter's vow and her need to keep it. Kaya could hold back no longer. Putting her hand on Speaking Rain's, she said, Listen to me, I have an idea. Then slowly, carefully, she described how Speaking Rain could spend part of the year with White Braids and part of her year with our own family. If you do that, you can choose both of your mothers. Do you think that's possible, little sister? As she spoke, Kaya heard her heart like a soft drumbeat urging, Find a way, find a way. You mean go across the river for a few days and then come back to join White Braids again? Speaking Rain said, I mean, I could do that, but what would happen when the salmon fish again and we all leave the big river? Consider this, Tota said. You go with us to Salmon River Country for the winter. When it's digging time, we could take you back to the Palouse Prairie. You can meet White Braids there for the hard work of the digging season, Easta added. Two Hawks spoke a moment with his father. My father says some of my people can meet you at the Palouse Prairie, then bring you here to the big river again. Everyone will help, Kaya said. Finally, Speaking Rain said slowly, I can follow the path you've shown, sister. I believe I can help my vow, but not hurt anyone. That's more than I could ever hope. Then you come with us now? Kaya asked her sister. Speaking Rain said. Katsi Yao Yao. When White Braids put her wrinkled hand on Speaking Rain's shoulder, Kaya knew she too was saying Katsi Yao Yao. Kaya got to her feet. She was so light with relief that she floated up to the small clouds racing toward the sun. I'll carry your things, little sister. Let's go now while it's still light. The others want you to welcome back too. A few days later, Kaya was walking with Speaking Rain to their teepees when she saw people gathered on the plain upstream from the falls. The fishermen caught only as many salmon as the women were able to clean. When they caught their limit, they got together for games, trading, and races. Now Kaya saw a group of men sitting in two lines facing each other, playing the stick game. They were drumming to distract the ones they were to guess which hands hid the small bone markers. They kept track of the score with sticks stuck upright in the ground. A woman stood behind the players, singing loudly to add the confusion. Jokes and shouting songs echoed across the valley. I hear so much commotion, Speaking Rain said. They're playing this stick game, aren't they? Let's join them. But some riders are getting ready to race their horses, Kai said. Let's go there instead. I'll tell you everything that's happening with the races. They hurried along the flat stretch where riders raced their horses. Kaya loved to watch the beautiful horses run, though it made her ache for steps high. As she came closer, she realized that one of the riders on his spotted stallion was Cut Cheek. Brown Deer stood on the sidelines with some of her young women. She had the twins with her. Is Cut Cheek going to race? Kaya called as she and Speaking Rain came up to them. A band from the prairie challenged us, Brown Deer said. Her eyes flashed with excitement. They bet us their best horse and rider could beat our best horse and rider. Our men chose Cut Cheek. I hear his stallion's fast, Speaking Rain said. But look at that gray horse and the other man is riding, another girl said. Those long legs, that sleek head. They say he's as swift as an antelope. But Cut Cheek's horse runs like a cougar, Brown Deer said. And Cut Cheek is a better rider, so he's sure to win. You'll see. The two men rode away from the others toward the far end of the race grounds. Cut Cheek's horse is straining at the bridle as if he can't win the race, Kaya told Speaking Rain. The gray horse is prancing and snorting. He's ready to run too. Kaya held her breath as he started to raise his arm and brought it down. There they go. Both horses leaped forward like arrows shot from bows. The riders lay low, their faces close to their horses' necks. The horses lanked out, running fast with each stride, their tails streaming. Cut Cheek and his horse seemed to blend into a single being, running easily, as if they could rest forever. Cut Cheek's ahead, Kaya said. He's pulling away from the gray. They're coming to the finish line. Cut Cheek wins, Brown Deer cried out. I want to ride like he does, Wing Feather cried. Nimi Poo won the bet. Sparrow hopped around like a jackrabbit. As the riders rode back slowly, cooling their horses, Brown Deer waited smiling. Kaya knew her sister was struggling not to let her feelings show, but her face shone. You're proud of Cut Cheek, aren't you? Kaya said. Brown Deer said. He rode well, but I have something else to be happy about. Just before I came to race, Crane Song nodded at me. Was her nod a good sign? Kaya asked. It was only a little nod, Brown Deer admitted, but it means she's pleased with you, Speaking Rain assured her. At least a little pleased, Brown Deer said. I'm so glad. Would you look after the twins for a while? I want to tell Cut Cheek. He'll be glad too. I'll work even harder now. Go tell him, Kaya said, giving Speaking Rain's hand a squeeze. We'll take care of those bothersome little brothers of ours. As long as the run of salmon continued, Kaya helped Speaking Rain go back and forth across the river, staying a few days at a time with each of the two families. Now the season for fishing on the big river was nearing the end. Speaking Rain would travel with Kaya and her family to the higher country for berry picking and hunting, then down to salmon river country before snows came. But there was work to be done while the men completed their fishing. Kaya knelt beside Brown Deer under a tool mat lean-to they made on the hillside above the river. Speaking Rain sat before them, a box turtle shell filled with green paint on her hands. Brown Deer had soaked a buffalo hide in the river and had staked in the ground in the shade. Now she was going to paint a design on the hide so that she could make it into a parfleche. Remember, we have to work quickly so the hide won't dry out. Paint bonds only to damp hide, Brown Deer said. I'll lay out the shapes and outline them, Kaya said. You help me fill in the larger spaces with paint. The tool mat shelter they made was a small one, but Tatlow managed to creep into its shade. Kaya scratched behind his ears, and he went to sleep into his head on the edge of her dress. Brown Deer had already covered the damp hide with a clean mixture of fish eggs to make it smooth and waterproof. Now she laid peeled willow sticks on it, the design of lines and triangles. She dipped a buffalo bone tool in the paint, then expertly traced the design she made, drawing the edge of the bone down the hide in long, steady lines. Kaya dipped in another tool, letting the porous There's bones soak up the lovely green paint made from river algae. Then she began spreading it where Brown Deer showed her. White Braids told me she would soon go back to her home country, Speaking Rage said. I'll be sad to see her go. She's a fine woman to adopt you this way, and you'll see her again at the Palouse Prairie in the spring, Brown Deer said. Will Crane Song be coming with us for the berry picking? Or will she go back to Cut Cheek's family when we leave? Kaya asked her older sister. Brown Deer's lips turned up a little. She drew. Crane Song told me this morning that she'll be leaving us. She sat back and looked hard at the line she made, then dipped her tool in the paint again. She said I must work hard even when she's not around to keep an eye on me. But she told me she's satisfied and made Cut Cheek a good wife. She sighed deeply as if she had been holding her breath a long time. That's wonderful news, Kai said. Why didn't you tell us? I was afraid it might not be true, Brown Deer admitted. But it is, Speaking Rain said. I hear in your voice you're almost singing today. I feel like singing, Brown Deer said. Cut Cheek said his parents will join us soon. They'll visit our family with their gifts. Then in a little while, we'll visit them and give them ours. I must make this parfleche for Cut Cheek's mother. I want to make it my very best work. You've already made so many gifts, Kaya said. Woven bags of beautifully dyed cords and glasses and baskets filled with dry roots. Brown Deer set aside her tool and picked up a little buckskin basket of powdered pigment. She took the container of green paint from Speaking Rain and gave her a large mussel shell in its place. Hold this for me from now, she said. I want to mix up some red. Speaking Rain held the mussel shell bowl steady in her cupped hands as Brown Deer mixed the dry paint with water. What will happen next, she asked. First, Cut Cheek will live with us for a while, Brown Deer said. Crane Songs, he has to show my parents he will be a good provider. She took 2 fresh bone tools from her kit and let the soak of the beautiful red paint, the color of sacred power. And when he proves himself, Kaya asked, then we'll make our home with my family for a time, Brown Deer said. In hunting season, my parents will need our help more than Cut Cheek's family will. So I won't have to leave you now after all. Her gaze caught Kaya's and they both smiled. Soon you'll plan your marriage, Kaya said. The words were good ones. Tatlow's paws twitched in his sleep. He was chasing rabbits in his dreams. Kaya stroked his warm head as he watched paint seep into the bone tools. She thought she would lose Brown Deer when she married, but this was not meant to be. She thought Speaking Rain would leave them forever, but that wasn't going to happen either. If only she could get her horse back, her life would be complete. And she picked up her bone tool. She felt as if her full heart were glowing like the crimson paint. And that is the end of Kaya Shows the Way. Thanks for listening.